Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably know that I'm in the second half of my deep dive into the Lenormand system, the system that was created in Germany under the name of, translated into English, the Game of Hope. And then when it moved to France, the name of Madame Lenormand was added to the deck to make it more popular, to sell it better. And when it moved to the United States, there was another woman by the name of Madame Morrow who got her name added to the deck to try and boost sales, but Lenormand was the one that won out internationally, and that's the name that we know this deck under, right? And it's sold everywhere. I can find Lenormand decks here online in South Korea very, very easily. So, yeah, it's a popular system, and I've found it helpful as a tarot reader to dive into the system because my way and style of reading tarot has also matured, I think, with the study I've done with this system. And I've got my eye these days on the Petite Etea deck, which is a deck of 32 cards, I believe, 33 maybe. Like I said, I've just got my eye on it, and I'm thinking of going in and diving into that to study that before I study the Etea system. And yes, I think of it as a system. It's a different thing from modern tarot. It's a different thing from Lenormand. It's a different thing from even the more original Tarot de Marseille. Right? They all have their own ways of looking at and interpreting and working with cards. So I think of them as separate systems. And the interesting thing about the Petite Etea is that it might have been an adjacent precursor to the Lenormand system as well. So all very interesting. And it seems like the Petite Etea is what spurred Etea to create the Grand Etea, which is more like what we consider to be a tarot deck. History of cartomancy is so interesting and so rich. And so I'm not thinking of doing a deep dive unless you want me to. If you want me to do a deep dive into the Petite Etea and then the Grand Etea, let me know in the comments below. Or head on over to the community page and send me a message there. Yeah, just saying. But yeah, so interesting. And like I said, I know that the study of Lenormand has helped me, and I hope your walking with me through this journey has been helpful for you too, or interesting at least. And speaking of interesting, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for walking with me on this journey. I want to thank you for doing those things that you do, for hitting the thumbs up button, for subscribing to the channel, for commenting. All of those things that you do help us increase in numbers, help more people find our community, and we grow and we learn from each other. One way or another, yes? So, thank you for doing those things. And just in case you want a reading from me, there will be a QR code at the end of this video. You can scan that or type in my address, DerekJohnThomas.com, and you can go find my online tarot reading shop and you can order a reading from me. So all those things are available to you. Now, friends, I have a spread already laid out. It's the same deck and the same spread as we started with last week. But what we're going to do is this. I'm going to show you the spread. We will talk about the deck and the spread a little bit, and then we'll start diving into reading the spread together. Are you all ready, friends? Here's this week's spread. Friends, what do you think of this deck? Isn't it? It's a wonderfully quirky deck, I think. Do you find it just disturbing? I know a lot of people find Patrick Valenza's work disturbing, but I think it's phenomenal. I love it. It speaks to an aspect of my inner child, you might say. It speaks to the young Derek within me that still is walking the planet. Yes? And I love it. The cards are a little big for me. For example, they're a little too big to do a grand tableau comfortably for me, but the cardstock is fabulous. The images, I think, are fun, and they're clear. They're very, very clear. It's impossible for me to mistake which card is the letter card and which card is the book card and which card is the tower or the garden. Yeah, they're all very, very clear. One thing that I am a little bit disappointed with is there are not any indications on the cards about the playing card associations, which I really do prefer having in a deck. However, I like the deck a lot, and I will continue using the deck. I'm not going to rehome it. That's never been on my mind with this deck. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely deck. And if you're interested in the deck, there will be a link in the description box below. You can hop on over to Patrick Belenza's website. He's got a shop full of stuff. And just in case this deck may have gone out of print, he does limited runs. Sign up for the newsletter and you'll find out when it gets reprinted, because almost all of his decks get reprinted eventually. Yeah? So, lovely deck. Lovely, lovely work. And this is called, well, I call this a star spread, because it looks like a star to me. Yeah? It looks like a star, and that's what I call it. Other people call it the Council of 13. I've heard that. Some people call it a 13 card spread. And for those of you who know me, who know that I like calling the letterbox or the picture frame spread or the rectangle spread a 9 card spread, you might be wondering, well, why don't I just call it a 13 card spread? Well, because I like the idea of it being a star. I'm quirky that way. So we're going to read this spread in several different ways. We're going to read it for what's on our mind and what's below our consciousness. We're going to read past to future. We're going to read past influences and where they're going, and unconscious influences and where they're going. And we're going to read triangles. We're going to read a lot of stuff. And we're going to start off with the significator, and we'll be doing all of that in just a moment. So friends, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the spread once more. See if you can find the significator if you don't know this spread. And get ready. We're going to start reading. Here's the spread once more. Friends, you saw that we had, and I'll start from the top and read top to down and left to right. Yeah, left to right. Top, down, left to right. So at the very top, we had the bouquet. And then in the next row, from left to right, we had the letter, the mountain, and the cross. Then in the central row, we had the fish, the scythe, the stork, the child, and the sun. And then below those cards, we had the tower, the woman, and the dog. The woman will be the partner card for us, because I am reading for all of us through me, through my perspective, through my lens. So for me, the woman would be my partner card, and then the moon was at the bottom. Now, generally, this looks like a pretty positive spread, I think. Let's check into that. Let's check that out. So at the top, we have the bouquet, which is positive for me. Yeah, the letter is neutral. The mountain is negative, so that knocks off the positive bouquet, right? The cross is negative, so we've got one negative left over. We have a positive neutral fish. We have the scythe, which is also negative. 2 negatives, 1 positive neutral. Then we have a stork, which is positive neutral. We have the child, which is positive neutral. But then we have the sun, which to me is triple positive, so that knocks out those 2 negatives, and we've got a positive left over. Yeah? The tower is neutral. The woman is neutral. The dog is positive. And the moon is positive neutral. So generally, we've got a fairly positive spread, even with those fairly strong negative cards like the scythe and the mountain and the cross, right? So we've got a fairly positive spread. And the card which is our significator. Now, when this spread is laid, oftentimes people will choose the significator card and lay that down and then shuffle the deck and lay the cards around it. I did not do that. I let the cards show us what the significator would be. Yeah, I shuffled the deck and the first card I pulled was the significator, and then I laid the rest of the spread with the cards that followed. Does that make sense? So when I laid this spread, I lay top to bottom after I did the significator, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then from left to right. Let me say that again. I laid, no, that's right, yes. And then I went from left to right, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I went 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the significator in the center makes it 13, right? So that's the direction the cards are laid out in. The central card being the significator, which for this spread is this wonderful stork right here. Now, I'm going to continue trying to do this at least. I'm going to put the cards up here so that you can see them. And I will hold the cards here in front of my face so that I can see them. And if you like this style of presentation, let me know in the comments below. If you dislike this kind of presentation, if you prefer me to hold the card up to the camera like this, let me know in the comments below. But for now, I'm going to be doing it this way until I hear otherwise. Okay? So, the central card was the stork. What is a stork? I just did a little extra research before filming this video because I wanted to refresh my understanding of what a stork is. So a stork, for one thing, it's a migratory bird. But it's an interesting migratory bird because, well, for several reasons, but one of the reasons is that it builds a very large, very strong and durable nest so that it migrates, it goes away, and then when it comes back, it has a nest, a home already ready for it. Yes? And storks in the northern hemisphere tend to migrate away during winter and return back during the spring. Yes? And because of that, the stork means a couple of things. The reason why I went back to check online is I wanted to see how pervasive the idea of the stork as related to childbirth is. And it turns out it's pretty common across Europe, in ancient Egypt, and in the Americas, at least with the Sioux tribe. And they're not all the same stork, and sometimes the stork is a stork-related bird, but when we've got a similar migrating large stork-shaped bird in that area, oftentimes that bird is associated with childbirth. It may be because they come back in spring and a lot of babies are born in spring. It can be because of other reasons, maybe for Europe, it could be the association between the stork and the pelican and the association with Christ and rebirth. There are many different ideas which are all bound up in this wonderful bird called the stork. And this image here we have is fascinating, right? We've got what looks like a guy with one human leg and one bird leg wearing what looks like a stork outfit, right? Or because we got the head of a stork on top and we got the head of the face of a human right below, but we've got arms of humans, human-ish arms, I would say, humanoid arms, and then we've also got wings, and there's a face on the wings, and it's all a very fascinating thing. This creature is just magnificent, I think. And it's an amalgamation, right, of bird and humanoid. What does the stork mean traditionally for Lenormand? It can be the new thing, but not new like the child, but the movement, a new movement in our lives. It could actually be moving houses, but more like a transition, and it's generally a positive transition. Yes, a positive change in our lives that isn't just something new growing, but like I said, a transformation, a transition. Things developing, not always as expected. Now we've got the Queen of Hearts associated with the stork, so it could be a gentle, home-loving woman as well. It could be a friend, a mother figure, a nurturer, a caregiver. All of those things are wrapped into this stork card. But for us, being the significator, unless you happen to be a caregiver or a mother or a nurse or some kind of person in a woman's body, and I'm going to say it just like that, a person in a woman's body who is gentle and home-loving and caring for other people. If that's you, this could actually be you. But generally, for the most part, I think for the most of us, this is a positive change in our lives, a transition for us. And remember, in the spread we had last week, it was all about the new thing, the child. And the child is back this week, moving into the future, right? Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But this new thing apparently seems to be causing a transformation, a transition, a positive change in our lives. If we're reading from spread to spread to spread, not just this spread alone, which is interesting. It really is fascinating. And now we're going to look at the cards that are above the child, the stork. Those are our thoughts and our beliefs. And it starts off with the bouquet. And remember, the bouquet was here last week as well. What is a bouquet? What is a bouquet? I'm sorry, I've still got that habit. What is a bouquet? And this bouquet is fabulous, right? With the octopus tentacles and the eyes and the flowers. I love it. And the hepatagi in Korean, they're called the jellyfish. The jellyfish in the bouquet are also, I think, phenomenal. It's a beautiful thing. The hairy arm handing over the flower to the other hand. The bouquet is a gift. It's a gift of beauty, right? We give these arranged flowers, right? They're not just a bunch of randomly chosen flowers just tied up with string. We arrange them into a more beautiful organization and creation of art. And then we give these bouquets as what? As thank yous, as ways to get invitation into people's private spaces. Right? We can use them flirtatiously. We can use them as a way to get an invitation to something. It can be a thank you for an invitation. They can be celebratory of birthdays, of Mother's Day. Mother's Day is coming up. So the bouquet is good fortune, received and given. Right? It's happiness. When we receive flowers, we smile. There's been research about that. People smile when they receive flowers. Even men smile when they receive flowers. So it's also pleasure. And they're the card of gift giving and gift receiving. Refinement. It's a refined custom to give flowers, right? But it also could be an invitation. Receiving an invitation or giving invitations. So what's on our mind? I'm sorry, my nose is super itchy today. What's on our mind? Our thoughts and our beliefs are about good fortune, happiness, the gifts that we receive in life, which are the mountain. The mountain. What is a mountain? A mountain is high, right? It's how we get closer to heaven. But it's also an obstacle. If we're traveling at the time of the creation of this deck, trying to go from one place to another and there's a mountain there in between, it makes the journey more difficult. We didn't have airplanes to fly over. We might have had balloons, but people didn't have common access to balloons. Yes? There were trains, but maybe there weren't trains going everywhere we might want to go. We didn't have cars. Ships, but ships don't go over mountains. So a mountain is an obstacle, right? It's a challenge. It can block our path. It's not a no card. It's not a do not pass here. But it's a challenge. It's difficult to pass here. Yes? And we can read the mountains card directionally, although frankly in this mountain card, it's a little challenging for me to see which direction is the easier path. Yeah? Both sides of the mountain look similarly challenging. And that's something I prefer in a mountain card. I prefer seeing one side having an easier path than the other, the way to get around the mountain. So, are we going to go with obstacle or blocks? Our feelings of good fortune may be blocking us, or they could be an obstacle for us. Or are we ascending? I think, okay, our change, our transition, which is beneficial with the stork, right, gives us the challenge of ascending to the good fortune and happiness that is available to us at the top of the mountain, which is closer to heaven, closer to the divine. Now, literally, hopefully we don't think that the divine is up there, right? I hope we've mostly gotten over that silly belief that the divine is up there and that evil is down there, right? The divine is everywhere. We are the divine expressing the divine self here in physical form. Yes, we are our eternal nature here having this physical human three-dimensional experience. And so we don't have to go up a mountain to get closer to the divine. We are aspects of the divine, yes? And yet, symbolically, going up towards the heavens by climbing a mountain would bring us closer to the divine with good fortune and happiness and pleasure and gifts. It's an invitation to get closer to the divine. That's what could be on our mind right now. And what are we standing on? We're standing on, first we're looking at the partner. Yes? The partner, the woman. And I don't mean that we are literally standing on the woman in our lives. That's not what I'm saying. But we are standing on the on the shoulders of our partners, right? And again, not literally, but they raise us up. We stand on their support. And if we can stand on the support of our partner, We have more strength and more ability to climb the mountain to reach that wonderful stuff indicated by the bouquet. Yes? We're also standing, and remember, our partner could be our husband or wife. Our partner could be our lover, our best friend. Our partner could be a coworker. Our partner could be the divine itself. Because remember, this universe is a co-creation, and our lives are a co-creation with our eternal natures and with the divine. So yes, we stand on the power of our partner, which is, again, another human being, and the divine. But remember, the woman can also be what? The woman can also be our intuition, yeah, and our receptivity. Which is interesting because the woman card also moves to the moon card. What do I mean? So, back in the day, well, actually probably still now, there are some people who play the game of hope. Yeah, it's a game. So you'd lay out the grand tableau and you'd get a token or a marker or something, just like Monopoly or in Korea, blue marble. And you'd start from card 1 and you'd throw dice and you move that number of spaces. And depending on the card you land on, you could either jump to another card, or you could be blocked, or you could move to a card behind. You could be sent back. Yeah? And you're supposed, the object of the game is to land on card number 35, which is the anchor card, which is the success card. But if you miss it and you end up on 36, the cross, then you're stuck there for a while until you can work your way back. Yeah? Perhaps an interesting game. A little bit like Chutes and Ladders, if you know the board game. But as far as movement with that game, the woman card moves to card number 32, which is the moon. And you'll notice in our spread, the woman card is right above the moon card, right? And what is the moon? The moon can be, well, what is the moon? The moon is the light in the night sky, the great light in the night sky, right? It reflects the light of the sun. But it also changes. There are cycles to it. It's a 28-day cycle. It also controls, it controls the movement of water on this planet. It gives us eclipses from time to time. It's a wonderful heavenly body that is very, very closely associated with our home planet, yes? And so what is the moon? It can be reputation because the moon rises, yes? It could be our increased success. It could be our heart business. For me, the moon can be the heart business, for example, tarot. Whether we earn money from it or not, it's the thing that we do because we love it. Yes? That thing we do, not our daily work, but the thing we do because we love. So it could be that. But it can also be our emotions. The moon is associated with our emotional lives. It's associated with water, which is also a symbol of our emotions, right? Our dream life. The moon can also be our intuition. So we've got this woman moving to the moon card, which are standing in a row right below the significator, and they're both associated with our intuition. So we could also be standing on our intuition. Yes, our emotional lives and our receptive emotional lives and our intuition. So we've got our partners there to help lift us up, and we can be standing on our intuition and our emotional receptivity. As we have our thoughts and our hearts pointed towards ascending to good fortune and happiness and refinement and beauty and creativity. A very positive shift in our lives, right? Now, we're going to start looking at the passage of time. We're going to start this way for you, right? Start from the past and moving towards the future. So starting from in the past, we had the fish card. What is fish? What is the fish card, I should say? What are fish? What is the fish card? Fish, at the time of the creation of this deck, were fairly easy money. Yes, we were still in a fairly pre-industrial agricultural society. So, one way to make money is to grow things and sell them in the earth, and that takes a lot of time. Or do something a little more dangerous, hop on a boat, go out into the ocean, drop a net, pick up the net, and you have stuff to sell, right? So, and the ocean where the fish live, is considered, especially it was considered at that time, but is still considered abundant, right? So the fish card is related to our abundance, to resources, to money, to finances. And I love this card. We've got a bunch of fish, and I like seeing a bunch of fish on the fish card because it reminds us of abundance. Love that one fish has its tongue stuck out. Interesting, right? Very humanoid faces on these fish. But they seem to be many of them travel in schools, so there's that idea of moving together. They move through water. They move through our emotions. So the fish card is also our soul or our emotions. It's got a king here, so because it's the king of diamonds, it could be a businessman, male person, yes, a person in a male body, a businessman, an entrepreneur, an employer, that kind of boss man kind of thing, yes? I don't think that's what we're talking about here. I think we're talking about our abundance. Yeah, in the past, our abundance has been what? Our abundance has been this card, which is not great. Yes? Especially because the pointy side of this card is pointing right at the fish card to its left. Yeah, that pointy scythe is, with a lot of blood on it, is pointing towards the fish. And that could be a couple of things. And it depends on you. Yes? What is the scythe? It is that which we used in the past to harvest. Yeah? We used the scythe to cut down grain, for example, so that we can get the wheat to create our bread. But it's also something that we use to clear off weeds, to clear our land, or the land of somebody else. It's a very sharp implement, so it's a dangerous implement as well. The scythe, this scythe in particular, looks rather bloody, right? We also see the skulls on what look like the wheat plants behind it. But we've got that reminder of wheat and danger, which is good for a scythe card, I think, because we have good symbols here which remind us of the traditional meaning of things being cut off and being painful, right? But also of harvesting and sorting. It could be a tool used to cut. And the sharp side is the side where there is a painful experience. And the sharp side is pointed towards our abundance. So we may have had some painful experiences with relation to our money, our resources, or even our emotions. Have you had some emotional trauma in the recent past? If so, this is what this is pointing towards. But we could also have been harvesting our resources, harvesting our abundance, harvesting money in the recent past. And if that's true for you, good on you. Yes, that's wonderful. So, if our past is harvesting cash, then we're using this cash or harvesting resources, then we're using these resources to launch ourselves off as the stork into our new life, into the transition into the new thing, right? Or it could be the pain and discomfort surrounding our resources, our money, and our emotions even, which could have spurred us on to, yes, I want to get out of this, and therefore the transition. Right? So whatever it was, whether it was a comfortable, happy reaping and harvesting, or it was a painful cutting off of, either way, we're moving towards something good. We're moving on towards the child, right? There's the child. It's a wonderful future. It's the new thing, right? What is a child? A child is a small human that will develop. It's a new human. It's one that's not cluttered with past experiences and negative accretia. It has not built up layers of protective crusts to keep people out. Yes? So our transition is into this rather creepy looking child. I'll admit this child looks creepy. Kind of reminds me of the baby on the sun card for the Deviant Moon Tarot, which I'm going to be using, not the sun card, but I'm going to use that deck in the second video for this week. I've decided that already. This baby with the red cloth around its private parts, with a kind of one creepy open eye and kind of a dead part of its face. Yeah, very, very interesting baby. But what is the baby? What is the child for the tarot? It is the new beginnings, right? It's a small thing that will grow. Maybe quicker than the tree growing, but it grows, right? It develops. It could actually be a child, right? We've got the child card is also associated with the Jack of Diamonds, the Jack of Spades, which could be a baby, could be a young male person, a person in a man body, a male body. But it could also be a freshman. It could be a newbie, a beginner at some new task. It could be an adult starting a new thing. Which reminds us that, yes, we are moving with this stork into a new phase of our lives, beginning the child thing, right? The new beginning, which was indicated last week. But here we've got this transition into that. So it seems like that new thing which we were talking about last week has actually started its growth, yes? We're transitioning into its growth in that way. Yeah, the new beginning has taken root and is growing into, how is it growing? And then we've got the sun card. Yes, this is the super positive thing. We're moving into the super positive. What is the sun? It is the big light in the sky. And it's interesting that we've got on two arms of the star, we have the sun and the moon in this spread, yes? We got both of the major lights. If we had the star card out, that would have made this perfect, I think. But sun and the moon, fabulous. And we're moving in the future towards the sun, which is what? The sun in the sky brings light, clarity. It brings life to this planet. It creates the energy for plants to grow. It gives us warmth. And the sun card is all of those things, yes? The sun card is happiness, it's success, it is growth. So this child is moving into success and growth. The child, this new thing, is successful. It is growing. It does bring happiness. It brings the beautiful things in life. Just like the sun brings the beautiful plants and life to this planet, the sun card brings the beautiful things to life, just as this new thing growing for us in the child card brings the beautiful things into our lives. This is lovely. This is a lovely spread. Even, like I said, even with all of those negative elements up there with the mountains and the cross and the scythe. Now let's look at our past influences here. The past influences start off with card number 9, which is the letter card. Now the letter card up here, you can see that one. So, of all of these cards, this card is a little bit... No, it's not difficult to read. So, the letter, what is that? It's a communication from one person, generally to one other person, sometimes to a small group. Now, there are newsletters, right? Where one person will write to a group of people with one letter. But generally, we think of the letter as from one person to another. And it could be an actual letter. It could be a text message. It could be anything in writing. And considering and remembering things being in writing, it could also be a contract. It could be a document of some sort. And it's something that moves. It's news and information that moves faster than the ship and slower than the writer. Yeah? So we've got news coming, I think. We've got written news coming. Written communications coming. From the past. Okay, so the past. We had received written information, written text messages, written emails, written documents, yes, which moved us towards this card, which is the dog. Yes? What is a dog? For humans, the dog is the most friendly, is the friendliest, I should say, the friendliest creature for us. Whether we're dog people or cat people, it doesn't matter. As far as friendly, as animals that are friendly to our species, that would be the dog being the friendliest. Yes? They're the most comfortable. They've evolved along with us. I think we've done some pretty horrible things to them, and they're still coming along for the ride with us. Yeah? And when I say horrible things, I'm not only talking about actual animal abuse, like things that the way that we treat them to use them for food, or the ways that we treated them to grow and sell more of them, like puppy farms, or the ways that we just generally treat them on the street or in our homes. Sometimes we can be very cruel to these dogs, and yet they are still very friendly to us, almost all of the time. I'm not only talking about that, but I'm also talking about, I think some of the breeds that we have created intentionally were also a kind of animal cruelty. Just saying. They might be cute, they might be fun, but we've also bred diseases into the animals. And we are responsible for that, I think. I know we are responsible for that. for especially some breeds, and we call them breeds because we're the ones who bred them. Some breeds of dogs have innate disabilities and diseases and die early and are less healthy because we wanted this cute thing in our homes. I'm not blaming anybody in particular. I'm blaming us as a species for having done this to another species. Yes? I don't think that was kind, and I don't think that was loving, personally. But I love dogs. I love dogs. And I prefer a mutt. I prefer a dog that is not purebred. For those reasons. Yes? But what is the dog? Like I said, so the dog card is the card of the friend. Yeah? The friend, also of friendship, for loyalty, for reliability. Yes? Just like a dog. So, the communication we've had in the past is moving towards friendship and loyalty and reliability. Yeah? Wonderful thing, right? And then we look at the unconscious motivations. And we start off with the Tower card, which was here for us last week, right? It's what we were thinking about, I think. And the Tower is what? It's something that lifts us up so that we can see far, so that we can protect our castle, for example, but also so that we can remove ourselves from the hustle and bustle of the world around us. We can find some quiet space. It's also a place to lock people up. Can't forget that, right? Prisons, some prisons or towers, the Bastille, for example. We also have the story of the woman locking a beautiful young baby up in a tower called Rapunzel so that she is protected from the world, but it also becomes a prison for her, right? So what is the Tower card? It's solitude. It's taking a step back. But it's also seeing far, great distances. It's also the institution. The Tower is a symbol of an institution, of a powerful, organized social structure. So it could be anything from a university to government to a prison system to a library, any institutional thing. But because this is something in the unconscious right now, I think we're talking about our solitude, our taking a step back, our inner private lives, our inner sanctums, yeah? Leading to what? Leading towards the cross card. And what is the cross card? The cross card is, and I've talked about this frequently, it's in Christian societies where this deck was born, is the symbol of the suffering and death of the human Jesus Christ. So, this is the symbol for suffering, for burdens. Now, Jesus Christ had to carry the cross through Jerusalem to where he was killed. So there's that burden associated with the cross. Also destiny. Yeah? The death of Jesus Christ was destined, was foretold, according to the Christian religion. But it's also religious, spiritual religious. Yes, it's a symbol of spirituality for Christians as well. So we got spirituality there too. We can read this cross directionally. So while our separation from the hustle bustle, our isolation, our taking a step back was beneficial last week, it may now become burdensome. It could be starting to push down upon the newness that is developing for us. So it seems like this spread is now telling us, yes, you did a good job taking a step back. Now it's time to step out and engage again, or else the isolation is going to become a burden on the new thing, the transition that we want to go through, and the new thing that is growing for us in the child card, because the cross is right above the child. And directionally, that cross is bearing down on the child. So that tower developing into the cross is weighing on it's weighing down and starting to squash the new thing growing for us, which will be successful. Unless we kill it in its infancy, yes? In its infancy, the child card. So that's all very interesting, I think. That's all very interesting. It gives us a little bit of advice. We want to be careful of this unconscious draw towards isolation and solitude. But our communication from the past leads us towards perhaps a discovery of friendship and loyalty and reliability. That all sounds really good in this transition that we're experiencing, yes? So friends, let me show you the spread once more. And we're going to read the 4, I wanted to say corners, but they're not corners, the 4 arms of the star. Now the 4 cards on the top, the 4 cards on the left, the 4 cards on the bottom, and the 4 cards on the right. We'll read those. Are you ready? I hope you are. Here's the spread again. Friends, we're going to read the top for what's on our minds. We're going to read the bottom for what's under the surface. We're going to read the left as what's coming from the past, and then the right for what's going on in the future. Yes? So, above our heads, we had this grouping of cards. Yes? The bouquet, the letter, the mountains, and the cross. So what does that mean? It means to me that the gift, the beauty that is coming into our head spaces, into our minds, the creativity and the good fortune and the happiness has come from spiritual communication. Now, why do I say that? I say that because we got the letter. Yeah? The letter, mountain, yeah, which can be can be spiritual heights. And the following card, the cross, yeah, the cross with the mountain together, they could be a burdensome obstacle, of course. But I think right now what's on our minds is beauty coming from a spiritual communication, from our higher selves even. And I don't like using that term, but right now, because of this cross on the mountain together, our higher spiritual selves, our uplifted selves, our selves on the mountaintop, feeling the presence of the divine and feeling the divine communicating to us, perhaps even in the written word, in the book of nature. Well, this isn't the book card, right? These are messages sent directly to us. And they could be the world being our oracle, yeah, where with synchronicity at play, we get messages, we see information coming to us from the world around us as a personal communication from the divine into our lives. Does that make sense to you? And that bringing the good fortune and happiness that is available to us all of the time, spurring on our creativity and our love of beauty and grace. And what's going on below the surface? Now we have these 4 cards below the surface. So we start off with the tower, the woman, and the dog, leading to the moon, yeah? Or, yeah, pointing down towards the moon. So below us, our solitude, our inner lives, right? Not our public lives, but our inner lives. If we are able to, if we have been able to share that inner life with our partner, that partner being another human being, or the divine, we experience friendship, we experience loyalty, we experience a reliable relationship, which leads us down into the depths of our intuition and our emotions, right? And maybe we get communication from our dream life. Maybe we get information from our dreams as well. But that it begins with, in the unconscious realm, going within that solitude with a partner to discover the loyalty of relationship, the reliability of relationship. That opens us up for the moon to rise. Yeah, our intuition to rise, our emotions to be edifying and instructive. And what's going on in the past is the cross, the child, and the dog. But then the sun, right? The cross, the child, the dog, but then the sun. So we have this new thing, right, with the child. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's the future. I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. The past. Yeah, we're looking at the past, which started off with the letter, the scythe, the tower, and then the fish. Yes, I'm sorry. So, yeah. So, what is that telling us? Communication has. Now remember, the blunt end of the scythe is what? It's like a kick in the shins. It's like, do this. It must be done. It's a demanding thing, yes? The letter demanded our solitude and our removal from society. But it also did some damage to our abundance, to our resources. It did some, I think it did do some damage to those resources we have in the fish. Yeah, past communication to us has caused a cutting off of society and what's the word I'm looking for? Spurring on towards a demanding of solitude. But also a cutting off of some resources and money and things available to us in the past. We're moving into the future, though, which starts off with the cross, the child, and the dog leading into the sun. Yes, so there have been some burdens to weighing down upon the thing that's growing for us, which is reliable, and it is a friendly thing, something that is going to be friendly for us. It's going to be reliable for us and something that will be available to us. But something has been weighing down the growth. It's like there's a plant down here growing up, but something is blocking its growth. Yeah? But we are moving in towards success with the sun, warmth and happiness and growth. We're going to get out from underneath the burden of the cross. And that's what the transition seems to be. So what is this spread telling us? If we're to distill this spread, so I'm imagining this distilling machine and the little knob at the bottom, to the side that lets that pure, opens it up so I think they call it a cock, that opens up the final compartment where the extracted essence will drip out. Sorry. So what is the essence of this spread? What is the essence? Friends, life is a process of continued, unending, eternal transition. I hope we can realize that. Living an intentional life, we know that we're living a life of evolution. And it's our evolution that allows us to be ready for the experiences, the relationships, the jobs, the creative projects, the vacations, the experiences, and the people that we want to experience and relate with. That is a process of our growth and our evolution, and the process of an intentional life. It's a life of eternal transition. It's a life of being ready to, willing to, and happy to become the new version of us. And it's when we stop, when we decide, I've learned it all, there's nothing more I need to know, I know it all, I am who I am, I'm not going to change. That is the beginning of the process of stagnation, which leads to death of the physical body. Aging, not aging in the sense of moving around the sun and collecting another year and another year and another year, but the aging in the sense of diminishment. And I'm not just talking about diminishment of physical capacity, although that's not 100% required. At least not the amount of diminishment that many people experience. That is not 100% required. However, if there is some diminishment of physical capacity, that doesn't mean a diminishment of us or our lives. It doesn't mean a diminishment of our growth and evolution. It means a transition of growth and evolution in other aspects of our lives. We can't point to just one aspect in our lives and say, that is diminishing, so that now I am stopping. Right? If we do that, we are basically committing an act of suicide. We are deciding that it's time for life to start stopping. Yes? And that's okay. If that's what you think is correct for you, that's okay. Aging in the sense of diminishment is not necessarily a bad thing. But nor is it necessarily a necessary thing for all of us. And this spread, whatever age we are, whatever our physical, emotional, intellectual capacities, is pointing towards a transition and an evolution towards happiness, success, and growth. And the title I think I'm giving this video is As a Bird Takes Flight. Thinking of it as a bird taking flight towards the radiant sun of its future. And as a transition from one place to another. And that place not being necessarily a physical place, although again, the store can be moving houses, but a transition of place, of spiritual, emotional, intellectual place to another. Does that make sense? And all we need to do is keep our minds on the prize of our relationship with the divine, the good fortune, happiness, creativity, and beauty that's available to us. And recognizing that our co-creation, our relationship with our physical human partner and the divine are trustworthy and loyal. And it is right and good that we are able to stand on those shoulders to reach the heights of good fortune and beauty and growth and success. Does that make sense to you? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, in just a moment, again, the QR code and the web address for my online tarot shop will appear before your eyes. Go check out what I have there. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.